I think it's time we talk about Adam Fox. You know, before I started this whole YouTube thing and hockey analysis, and when I was just kind of getting into becoming more than just a surface level hockey fan, I was always curious about how players like Duncan Keith, Shea Weber, PK Subban could slip all the way to the second round of the draft. Because watching them now, it's so clear how good and talented they are. I mean, I've always wondered, what were they like in their draft year? What did NHL teams see in them that warranted them a second or third round pick, but not a first round pick? There were 65 players taken ahead of Adam Fox in the 2016 draft, and as of right now, he is looking like an absolute steal. After an impressive rookie season with the New York Rangers that was only outshone by the likes of Quinn Hughes and Cale Makar, Adam Fox has really stepped up to the next level this season, almost at a point-a-game pace, and is in the conversation for the Norris Trophy as the league's best defenseman. Seeing as I'm now in the position where I have access to older shifts and clips of NHL players as prospects, the curious part of me is just chomping at the bit to go back in time and take a look at Adam Fox in 2016 as a prospect and see what scouts saw in him and see what we can learn from this. I'd like to take you through some Adam Fox draft year shifts and figure out how a player who put up 59 points in 64 games, which was a record at the time for the national team for defensemen, how a player of that caliber could go in the third round. I'm extremely excited to see how Adam Fox looked in 2016. Are we going to see the foundation of skills that now make him an elite NHL defenseman? And what were some of the warts that scouts were seeing in his game at the time? So if that sounds good to you, leave a like and subscribe and let's get right into it. Alright, so I have here the last game of the US NTDP's 2016 season, and already the nostalgia is just slapping me across the face. The US national teams usually have more talent than they know what to do with, and this team is absolutely no exception. Clayton Keller scored, Kiefer Bellows also had an end-to-end goal, and an underaged Casey Middlestat scored 2 highlight reel goals. This game was an absolute banger. But how did our friend Adam Fox do? His ability to slow down the game and dictate the pace when the puck was on his own stick, in his own zone, was on full display in this game. Given this much time and space, Adam Fox is going to absolutely work this forechecker. As he begins to build separation away from the forechecker, notice that he underhandles the puck, meaning he pushes the puck forward into open space and skates onto it. What this allows him to do is build more speed with a couple extra strides while having his head up without having to worry about stick handling the puck. It's a pretty underutilized skill in the NHL, but I think Adam Fox is one of the players that uses it quite a bit. Fox in this game is showing that unique quality in some defensemen who have the ability to dictate the pace of the game in their own zone. When given time and space, he's going to use it to find the best route of attack. His edge work isn't quite Quinn Hughes level when he was a prospect, but they're still good enough to keep up with what his brain wants to do. But when you're as smart as Adam Fox and you also have the tools to execute, you have a pretty dangerous combination. But let's talk about Adam Fox's competitive advantage, the trait that sets him apart from just being another NHL defender. Fox is a master deceiver, and this skill makes him a bad man in the offensive zone. Adam Fox never reveals his true intentions with the puck until the last second, as he's always masking his intentions with a head fake, or a weight shift, or a change in the angle of his blade. Like Loki, Fox's body never tells the truth, as he always likes to play tricks with his defenders. It's plays like this where he shows open hips and then closes them to go towards the net, only to immediately go against the grain of his body and pass into the slot. Or a little head fake and a shimmy to freeze the defender and then pass off. Or the ability to sell going down the wall and then toe drag into the middle, fake the shot to draw the defender in and then pass across his body to find the backdoor pass. This play here reminds me a bit of Evan Bouchard, as before he even receives the puck, he throws in a deceiving weight shift to sell the defender that he's going towards the middle, and then explodes to the outside and gets a shot off. When we think about a puck touch, I think most players, and I'm using most players as a very general term, I'm not just saying NHL players, but most hockey players, I think when they gather the puck, they then start to think about how they want to go about moving the puck into a certain area. But with someone like Adam Fox, his puck touch really starts long before he's in possession. He already has an idea of what he wants to do with it and where he wants the puck to go. It's then just about problem solving in order to create that open space. And this gives him the benefit of being proactive and making deceiving motions before he even receives the puck in order to create this space. Like, here's a great read from him. He pinches as the puck is coming up to his point. He's on the blind side of his defender, and he stick lifts and intercepts the puck. He throws in a couple of shimmies to create space down the wall, and his defender is just trying to survive here. He's trying desperately to defend the middle of the ice, which gives Fox lots of space to cut back and find a pass to the high slot. And to me, his knowledge of how to present threats, manipulate defenders using his body language, and ability to leverage the two in order to dictate action is a major selling point for Adam Fox as a prospect. So what were some of the bearish clues in Fox's game? Like I said, he isn't the most dynamic skater. He doesn't have the explosiveness from a standstill like Cale Makar or the shifty edge work of Quinn Hughes. And the way he thinks the game, sometimes he'll hold on to the puck a bit too long, skate himself into trouble, and he doesn't have the requisite tools to escape. And really, this is the trait of any roving defenseman, like a Quinn Hughes or a Cale Makar. Their game revolves around having possession of the puck, which of course means there's going to be more opportunities for them to turn it over. And that's kind of always the risk of having a roving style defenseman on your team. And as they progress through the ranks, it'll be about how they mature this quality into a more refined asset. So even though that was just a one-game sample, albeit a pretty good game from Adam Fox, a lot of the qualities that make him an NHL star right now, we could see in his game in 2016. His composure to hold on to the puck in his own end, to dictate pace and break out and enter the zone was on full display, as well as his elite ability to mask his intentions with the puck. It felt like every time he made a play, he was throwing in one or two extra moves to throw off defenders before making his true intentions be known. And this is a skill that is going to make him a lot of money in the future. But I think going into this, I was expecting to see a much more raw prospect. I was expecting to see flashes of the player that Fox could become, but I really wasn't expecting to see Fox dictate every time he was on the ice. His puck management for the most part was great, and maybe the quality of his team plays a little bit of a role into that, as, Kiefer Bellows, Clayton Keller, Casey Middlestat, as well as a pretty good decor in Chad Chris, Luke Martin, and Ryan Lindgren were all on the team, but when I was watching, it really felt like Adam Fox was one of the main contributors to driving play. And when we look at some of Fox's teammates, it's interesting to see that Chad Chris and Ryan Lindgren both went ahead of Adam Fox in 2016 in the draft. Chris is the better skater, and Ryan Lindgren has size and mobility and the ability to play a shutdown two-way game. But neither one of them were even close in terms of production to Adam Fox, as well as in creativity and problem solving. And to me, I think this says a lot about how the NHL was thinking at the time. I don't think the NHL was ready for a player like Adam Fox. His rover style of gameplay wasn't as coveted as it is today, and I think a lot of that has to do with the emergence of Erik Karlsson's playoff performance in 2017. My friend Andrew Harris actually was the one that suggested this idea to me, and it makes a lot of sense. That 2017 playoff run by Erik Karlsson, I think, really changed the point of view on what an offensive defenseman can bring to the table. Having a guy that could play in the high 20 minutes a night that can dictate everything around him, kind of like a point guard in basketball. Erik Karlsson showed how a defenseman could be the lifeline of the team when that player's on the ice. He was the beating heart that was pushing blood towards everywhere else in the body. And I think players like Quinn Hughes and Cale Makar last year continued to push the narrative that defensemen could take over games and control the game from their own zone, regardless of their size. And it's paved the way for players like Cam York and Jamie Drysdale to be taken higher and higher in the draft. There's no doubt in my mind that if Adam Fox was born in a different year and he was eligible for the 2018 or 2019 drafts, there's no way he'd be taken in the third round. I think the takeaway for me here is really just reinforcing the idea that it is so important to both combine the numbers and the eye test and derive a decision from that process. For Fox, I think the numbers favored him heavily. He put up historic production for that US team, and I know the Florida Panthers, who have a pretty good analytical department at the time, their model really favored Fox. And I think watching his game, yes, there are warts with his skating and the turnovers. Pretty par for the course for a defenseman of that type that was just misunderstood at the time. And the size and strength issues, which, he was 5'11", so he wasn't really that small, but those are still concerns nonetheless. But he also showed a clear competitive advantage in his game, at least in the offensive end, which was his ability to manipulate defenders and mask his intentions in order to create space for himself and teammates. So to me, if I were an NHL GM and I found a player who had a clear competitive advantage, as well as putting up historic numbers, I would be doing everything I could to get to the bottom of who he was as a person and a player. I'd be talking to his parents, his grandma, his dog, his pet fish, whatever he has. I would do my due diligence to make sure that I knew the kind of person that I was getting, because this is exactly the kind of prospect that I would be willing to bet on. Now, I'm not saying I would have put him in my first round or in my top 10 in 2016, because obviously I have the benefit of hindsight and the false confidence that would come with that. However, just watching the tape, it's still shocking to me that he went in the third round, which is, I guess, kind of the point of this video, because I was always curious what Adam Fox looked like in 2016, and now I know. He looked pretty darn good, and maybe I got lucky and caught him on his good day. Maybe his bad days were brutal. But the fact remains that not a lot of times a prospect shows up on your door that 1, puts up historic numbers, and 2, has a competitive advantage to boot. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for checking out the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider leaving a like and subscribing, as it'll really help me out on my goal to creating the best hockey content on the internet. Also, let me know with a comment down below what you think of this style of video. It's a bit different from what I normally do, but still kind of mixed into my normal hockey analysis. And I think it's a style that I'm a bit more comfortable with, and will also make it easier for me to pump out more content on a timely manner. I think that's everything, so I'll see you guys next time.